Fall asleep to a Game of Thrones, a gentle summary of Book 1. Welcome, traveler. Settle in, get comfortable, and let me take you on a journey through the 7 kingdoms of Westeros. We'll walk together through the events of the first book, moving slowly, taking our time with each moment, each character, each quiet detail. There's no rush here. Let the story wash over you like gentle waves. If you drift away and miss parts, that's perfectly fine. The story will continue, patient and steady, a companion for your rest. Take a deep breath. Let your body settle. And let us begin in the north, where winter is always coming. The Stark family of Winterfell. Our story begins in the ancient castle of Winterfell, seat of House Stark, in the cold and vast region known as the North. Winterfell has stood for thousands of years, built over natural hot springs that keep it warm even when snow falls thick around its walls. Lord Eddard Stark, called Ned by those who know him, rules Winterfell and the North. He is a man of honor, quiet and stern, devoted to duty and family. His wife is Lady Catelyn of House Tully, who came from the Riverlands to marry him and has grown to love the North despite its harsh winters. Together they have 5 children, and we should know each of them, for their stories will carry us through many chapters. Robb is the eldest, strong and capable, being groomed to one day inherit Winterfell. He has his mother's Tully culling, auburn hair and blue eyes, and his father's sense of duty. Sansa is the eldest daughter, 11 years old and lovely, with auburn hair and blue eyes like her mother. She dreams of knights and courtly love, of becoming a lady in a castle more southern and gracious than stern Winterfell. She loves songs and stories of romance. Arya is younger, 9 years old, and unlike her sister in every way. Where Sansa is proper and graceful, Arya is wild and willful. She looks like her father, with dark hair and grey eyes. She prefers swords to needlework, adventure to courtesy. Bran is 7, a boy who loves to climb. The walls of Winterfell are his playground. He scales towers and scrambles across rooftops with a fearlessness that worries his mother. He is sweet-natured and curious, always asking questions. Rickon is the youngest, only 3 years old. He is too young to understand much of what will happen, but he senses changes coming, the way small children sometimes do. And there is one more boy in Winterfell, though he is not quite part of the family. Jon Snow, the same age as Robb, is Ned Stark's bastard son. His mother is unknown, and Ned will not speak of her, which is unusual for the honorable lord. Jon has the Stark look, long face, dark hair, grey eyes. He is quiet and thoughtful, aware always that he is not quite legitimate, not quite belonging. These are the Starks of Winterfell. Keep them in your mind as we move through the story. Picture them in their castle, going about their daily lives, not yet knowing how much their world is about to change. The words of House Stark are "Winter is coming." It is both a warning and a promise, a reminder that darkness always returns, that one must always be prepared. These words will echo through all that follows. The king comes north. One day, word comes to Winterfell that King Robert Baratheon is coming north with his court. This is significant news. The king rarely leaves the capital of King's Landing, and the journey north is long and arduous. Robert was once Ned Stark's closest friend. They were raised together as wards of Jon Arryn in the Eyrie. They fought together in a rebellion 15 years ago, overthrowing the Mad King, Aerys Targaryen. Robert took the throne because he had Targaryen blood through his grandmother, and because he was the strongest of the rebels. But Robert has changed in the years since. He has grown fat and unhappy. His marriage to Queen Cersei Lannister is loveless. He drinks too much and spends too much, driving the kingdom into debt. He is still haunted by the memory of Lyanna Stark, Ned's sister, who was betrothed to Robert before she died during the rebellion. When the royal party arrives at Winterfell, it is a grand spectacle. The king and queen, their 3 children, hundreds of knights and servants, all filing through the gates. With them comes the queen's family, her twin brother Sir Jaime Lannister, called the Kingslayer, and her younger brother Tyrion, a dwarf known as the Imp. Robert embraces Ned like a brother. He has come with a purpose. Jon Arryn, who raised them both and served as Robert's hand of the king, has died suddenly. Robert wants Ned to come south and become the new hand, to help him rule the kingdom. Ned does not want to go. He loves the north. He is not a man for the intrigues of court. But Robert is his friend and his king, and duty calls. More than that, there are hints that Jon Arryn's death was not natural. Ned feels he must discover the truth. There is another matter too. Robert proposes a betrothal between his eldest son, Prince Joffrey, and Ned's daughter Sansa. This would bind their houses together, make the Starks part of the royal family. Sansa is thrilled at the prospect. Catelyn sees the political wisdom. Ned reluctantly agrees. Picture this moment, the great hall of Winterfell filled with people, firelight reflecting off armor and fine clothes, the king and his old friend talking late into the night about old times and new responsibilities. Decisions are being made that will change everything, though no one quite realizes yet how profoundly. The world is shifting, like ice breaking up on a frozen river at the end of winter. The sound is distant but unmistakable. Change is coming. The boy who fell. During the king's visit, young Bran is climbing as he always does. He scales the walls of Winterfell, finding handholds and footholds where others see only smooth stone. His mother has told him not to climb. He climbs anyway. It is what he loves. On this day, Bran climbs an abandoned tower. He hears voices and, curious, peers through a window. What he sees, he should not have seen. Queen Cersei and her twin brother Jaime, together in an intimate embrace. They are twins, and what they are doing is forbidden, unnatural. Cersei sees him. Her face goes pale. Jaime moves quickly to the window. For a moment, Bran hangs there, this 7-year-old boy who has seen something terrible. Jaime looks at him with something like regret and says, "The things I do for love." Then he pushes Bran out the window. Bran falls. He falls from a great height, and when he hits the ground, he does not die, but he does not wake either. He lies in a coma, hovering between life and death, while his mother sits vigil beside him. The attempt on Bran's life during his coma, when her assassin comes with a Valyrian steel dagger to finish what the fall began, convinces Catelyn that the Lannisters are behind this. She becomes determined to uncover the truth and protect her son. This moment, Bran's fall, is a turning point, though we don't yet understand how significant. The boy lies sleeping, and around him, the world begins to fracture. Ned prepares to go south to King's Landing. Catelyn prepares to discover who tried to kill her son. And Bran dreams strange dreams in his long sleep, dreams of falling and flying, dreams of a 3-eyed crow who tells him he must learn to see. Let this image settle, a boy sleeping, neither alive nor dead, while those who love him make choices that will ripple out across the 7 kingdoms. Sometimes the most important moments are the quietest ones, a child dreaming while the world changes around him. The Wall and the Night's Watch. Far to the north of Winterfell stands the Wall, an immense barrier of ice 700 feet high and 300 miles long. It was built thousands of years ago to protect the realms of men from the dangers in the far north, wildlings, raiders, and darker things that are now considered legends. The Wall is manned by the Night's Watch, an ancient order of men who have sworn their lives to defending the realm. They wear black and are called crows. They take no wives, hold no lands, father no children. They serve until death. The Night's Watch was once a honored institution. Now it is a dumping ground for criminals, bastards, and unwanted sons. Few volunteer willingly. Most are forced to take the black as punishment for crimes or to avoid worse fates. Jon Snow, Ned Stark's bastard son, chooses to join the Night's Watch. He sees it as a place where he can belong, where his bastardy won't matter, where all men are brothers regardless of birth. His uncle, Benjen Stark, is a ranger of the Night's Watch, and Jon admires him greatly. Jon travels to the Wall with Tyrion Lannister, the dwarf, who is going north to see this great structure for himself. Despite their differences, the two form an unlikely friendship. Tyrion, rejected by his family for his appearance, understands what it means to be an outcast. He gives Jon advice: never forget what you are. The rest of the world will not. Wear it like armor, and it can never be used to hurt you. At the Wall, Jon finds life harder than he imagined. His skills with sword and command, learned at Winterfell, make him better than the other recruits, most of whom are criminals and low-born. He is resented for this at first. But slowly, Jon learns humility and makes friends, particularly with Samwell Tarly, a fat, cowardly boy who was forced to take the black by his cruel father. Jon becomes a steward to the Lord Commander, Jeor Mormorn, rather than a ranger as he hoped. He is disappointed until he realizes this means he is being groomed for command, not just sent out to patrol. The Night's Watch seems at first like a backwater, irrelevant to the great events happening in the south. But there are troubling signs. Rangers disappear beyond the Wall. The wildlings are moving south in greater numbers. And in the very first chapter of our story, though we haven't spoken of it yet, Rangers found something terrifying in the woods. Bodies of wildlings, killed by something that left them pale and cold, with strange blue eyes. The others, creatures of ice and death from ancient legends, may be returning. But few believe in such old stories anymore. Winter is coming, yes, but surely the tales of ice demons are just tales. Jon stands atop the Wall sometimes, looking north into the endless forest and frozen waste beyond, and wonders what is out there in the darkness. He doesn't know yet that his fate is tied to this ancient conflict, that he is meant for more than he can imagine. Picture the Wall at night, immense, ancient, eternal. Men in black stand watch along its length, small as ants against the vast ice. The wind howls. The forest stretches away into darkness. And something stirs in that darkness, patient and cold, waiting for winter. King's Landing and the Game of Thrones. Ned Stark arrives in King's Landing with his daughters, Sansa and Arya. He leaves his wife Catelyn and his sons in Winterfell, where Bran still lies in his coma. Robb remains as acting Lord of Winterfell, though he is only 14. King's Landing is everything Winterfell is not. Where Winterfell is grey stone and cold winds and honest faces, King's Landing is full of color and warmth and lies. The capital sits on the coast where 3 rivers meet, and it stinks of humanity. 500,000 people crowded into a walled city, with all the waste and noise and schemes that implies. The Red Keep, where the king lives, rises on a hill overlooking the city. It is a castle of red stone with great halls and towers. Ned is given the Tower of the Hand and begins his duties. Sansa is thrilled to be in King's Landing. Everything is as she dreamed. The knights in shining armor, the gracious court, her betrothed Prince Joffrey who is handsome and princely. She is too young and innocent to see the rot beneath the surface. Arya is miserable. She hates the city, hates the expectations of being a lady. Ned, seeing her unhappiness, hires a dancing master for her, a swordsman from Bravos named Syrio Forel, who teaches her the water dance, a style of sword fighting. This is done in secret, A gift from a father who understands that not all his children fit the expected molds. Ned begins to investigate Jon Arryn's death. He discovers that Jon had been researching something before he died, reading about the lineages of the great houses, particularly focused on one phrase, "The seed is strong." Ned follows Jon's trail. He visits Jon's widow, Lysa Arryn, who has fled with her son to the Eyrie. He examines the royal children. He begins to see a pattern. All of Robert's bastard children, scattered throughout the kingdom, have the Baratheon look, black hair, blue eyes. But Robert's 3 legitimate children with Cersei, Joffrey, Myrcella, and Tommen, are all blonde and green-eyed, like Lannisters. The seed is strong, Jon Arryn had written. Baratheon features always dominate in Baratheon children. Always. Slowly, terribly, Ned realizes the truth. Queen Cersei's children are not Robert's. They are her brother Jaime's children, products of incest. Joffrey is not the rightful heir to the throne. This is what Jon Arryn discovered. This is why he died. Ned is trapped. He knows a terrible secret, and he must decide what to do with it. His honor demands he tell Robert the truth. But such a revelation will lead to war. The Lannisters will not accept their destruction quietly. Meanwhile, Catelyn has also come south, in secret. She has captured Tyrion Lannister, believing he sent the assassin to kill Bran. She takes him to her sister Lysa in the Eyrie, intending to see him tried for his crimes. But Tyrion is clever. He demands trial by combat and chooses as his champion a Sellsword named Bronn, who defeats Lysa's champion. Tyrion goes free, but the damage is done. The Lannisters know that the Starks have moved against them. War is coming. The great houses are choosing sides. And in King's Landing, Ned Stark, a man of honor in a city of lies, is trying to do the right thing in a place where right and wrong have no meaning. Picture the throne room of the Red Keep. The Iron Throne, forged from 1,000 swords surrendered to Aegon the Conqueror, sits high on its dais. It is an ugly throne, all sharp edges and twisted metal. They say it was made uncomfortable on purpose, so that no king could sit easy. Robert hates it. He has cut himself on it more than once. The throne rejects me, he says. Ned stands before it, carrying the weight of terrible knowledge, trying to navigate an impossible situation. He is out of his depth here, and somewhere deep inside, he knows it. But he is Eddard Stark of Winterfell. He will do his duty. He will tell the truth. Even if it destroys him. Across the Narrow Sea. While these events unfold in Westeros, across the Narrow Sea in the eastern continent of Essos, another story is beginning. This is the story of the last surviving members of House Targaryen. 15 years ago, the Targaryen dynasty that had ruled Westeros for 300 years was overthrown. King Aerys II, the Mad King, was killed by Jaime Lannister during the sack of King's Landing. Aerys's eldest son and heir was killed at the Trident by Robert Baratheon. His wife and 2 youngest children, Viserys and Daenerys, fled across the sea. Now Viserys is a young man, bitter and obsessed with reclaiming his throne. Daenerys is 13, a quiet girl who has spent her life being moved from place to place, dependent on the charity of others. Viserys calls himself the rightful king of Westeros. Others call him the beggar king. Viserys has arranged a marriage for Daenerys. She will wed Khal Drogo, a powerful warlord of the Dothraki, the fierce horse people who roam the eastern lands. In exchange, Drogo will give Viserys an army to invade Westeros. Daenerys, called Dany, is terrified of this marriage. She has no choice in the matter. Viserys would sell her to anyone if it meant getting his throne back. He is not kind to her. When she displeases him, he threatens to wake the dragon, his anger that can turn violent. The wedding takes place in the Dothraki manor, a great feast with displays of fighting and coupling, raw and barbaric to Westerosi eyes. Dany receives wedding gifts, including 3 petrified dragon eggs, beautiful but useless, for dragons have been dead for more than 100 years. Dany expects her wedding night to be terrible. But Drogo, despite being a fearsome warrior, is surprisingly gentle with her. He waits for her consent, speaking the only word they share, no, and waiting until she says yes. Dany's life with the Dothraki is hard at first. The riding hurts, the food is strange, the customs are alien. But slowly, she adapts. She learns the Dothraki language. She begins to understand their ways. And surprisingly, she falls in love with Drogo. He is strong and protective, and he values her more than Viserys ever did. She becomes pregnant with Drogo's child. The Dothraki believe that her son will be the stallion who mounts the world, a great conqueror. Dany begins to find strength in herself that she never knew existed. She is no longer the frightened girl she was. She is becoming Khaleesi, a queen in her own right. Viserys grows increasingly unstable as he realizes that Drogo has no real interest in invading Westeros. The Dothraki do not cross the poison water of the sea. Viserys' promised army is a fantasy. In his frustration and rage, Viserys threatens Dany and her unborn child. This is too much. Drogo executes Viserys in the Dothraki manor, pouring molten gold over his head, giving him the golden crown he always wanted. Dany watches her brother die and feels nothing. He was no dragon, she says. Fire cannot kill a dragon. Dany's story seems separate from the events in Westeros, but it is weaving closer. The last Targaryens live. The blood of the dragon continues. And 3 petrified eggs sit in Dany's possession, waiting. Picture Dany in the Dothraki Sea, the vast grasslands that stretch endlessly. She rides her silver horse, her hair, pale as moonlight, streaming behind her. The sun beats down. The grass waves in the wind. She is far from Westeros, far from the Game of Thrones, but she is coming into her own power. One day, she will return. One day, fire will return to the world. But not yet. For now, let her ride across those endless plains, becoming who she was always meant to be. The Hands Tournament. Back in King's Landing, a great tournament is held in honor of Ned Stark's appointment as Hand of the King. Knights from all over the realm have come to compete in jousting, melees, and archery contests. There are grand prizes and great honor to be won. Sansa is thrilled. This is everything she dreamed of: pageantry, knights in shining armor, her handsome prince watching from the royal box. She sits with the court and watches the competition with shining eyes. But even this celebration carries undercurrents of danger. Ned sees knights who will soon be fighting each other in earnest, testing their skills before real war begins. He sees the Lannisters watching him, the Queen's cold green eyes following his every move. The most dramatic moment comes when Sir Gregor Clegane, called the Mountain That Rides, is unhorsed by Sir Loras Tyrell, the Knight of Flowers. The Mountain, in rage, kills his own horse and turns on Loras. Loras would have died, but Sandor Clegane, the mountain's younger brother, called the Hound, intervenes. The two brothers fight brutally until King Robert commands them to stop. This moment reveals much. The Mountain is a monster, a brutal killer who serves House Lannister. The Hound, scarred and cynical, is still capable of doing the right thing, even if he mocks the very concept of knighthood. These two brothers hate each other, and one day that hate will have consequences. Sansa watches all this with growing unease. The knights are not quite as gallant as her song suggested. There is real violence here, real hatred beneath the bright banners and fine armor. Arya, meanwhile, is not at the tournament. She is having her lessons with Syrio Forel, learning to see, to be quick, to dance with her wooden practice sword. Syrio teaches her to watch and think, not just swing a blade. The seeing, the true seeing, that is the heart of it, he tells her. The tournament ends. Prizes are awarded. Everyone returns to their plots and schemes. But for a brief moment, there was spectacle and sport, a bright surface over dark depths. Let this scene rest in your mind. The lists, the charging horses, the crash of lance on shield, the crowds cheering, the bright pennants snapping in the wind. A moment of glory before everything falls apart. Because it is about to fall apart. The center cannot hold. Too many secrets, too many lies, too much ambition and fear. Something has to give. Betrayal and tragedy. King Robert goes hunting. While he is gone, Ned does what his honor demands. He tells Cersei that he knows the truth about her children. He gives her one chance to flee, to take her children and escape before Robert returns and learns the truth. This is a mistake born of mercy. Cersei does not flee. Instead, she acts. Robert is killed on his hunt, gored by a boar. But it was not an accident. His squire, a Lannister cousin, gave him too much wine, made sure he was drunk when he faced the boar. Cersei arranged her husband's death. Robert's last act is to name Ned protector of the realm until Joffrey comes of age. Ned knows Joffrey is not Robert's son, has no right to the throne. The rightful heir is Robert's younger brother, Stannis Baratheon. But Stannis is far away at his seat of Dragonstone. Ned tries to do the right thing. He plans to reveal the truth about Joffrey's parentage, to support Stannis's claim. He makes an alliance with Petyr Baelish, called Littlefinger, the master of coin, who promises that the City Watch will support Ned when the moment comes. But Littlefinger betrays him. When Ned confronts Cersei and Joffrey in the throne room, the City Watch turns on him instead of supporting him. Littlefinger himself holds a knife to Ned's throat and whispers, "I did warn you not to trust me." Ned is arrested. His household guards are killed. Sansa and Arya are meant to be captured too. Sansa, still naive, goes to the Queen voluntarily, thinking she can help. She is held as a hostage. Arya escapes. She is out in the city during the chaos, and Syrio Forel holds off the Lannister guards so she can run. He fights them with a wooden practice sword, beating back armored men with his incredible skill. But eventually, Sir Meryn Trant of the King's Guard corners him. Arya runs. She doesn't see what happens to her teacher, but we can guess. Arya hides in the city, alone and terrified. She witnesses terrible things, including the moment when Ned's men are slaughtered. In the confusion, she finds herself on a wagon leaving the city with other refugees and criminals, heading for the wall as new recruits for the Night's Watch. She hides among them, disguised as a boy, using the name I. In Winterfell, Robb receives word of his father's imprisonment. He calls the Northern Bannermen to him. They answer the call. The North remembers its honor and its lord. An army gathers at Winterfell, and Robb, though only 14, leads it south to free his father and sisters. Catelyn is with Robb when the army marches. She is torn between her children, Robb riding to war, Sansa and Arya hostages in King's Landing, Bran still crippled in Winterfell, Rickon too young to understand. A mother's heart divided by impossible distances and terrible fears. The realm fractures. In the Riverlands, Catelyn's family fights against the Lannisters who are burning and raiding their lands. In King's Landing, Ned sits in a black cell beneath the Red Keep. On the wall, Jon Snow hears of his father's arrest and nearly deserts, wanting to ride south to help, but is convinced by his brothers to stay and honor his vows. Everything is breaking. The Game of Thrones has turned deadly, and the price is measured in blood and honor. Picture Ned in his cell. Dark stone walls, a small window high up where he can see a patch of sky. He thinks of his children, of the choices he made, of honor and duty and where they have led him. He thinks of promises he made long ago, secrets he kept. He wonders if he could have done differently, if there was a way to avoid this ending. Outside, the realm tears itself apart. Inside, an honorable man waits to learn his fate. The death of honor. Ned is brought before the Great September of Baelor, the Grand Temple of King's Landing, where crowds have gathered. He is given a choice: confess his treason, admit he plotted to steal Joffrey's throne, and he will be allowed to take the Black and join the Night's Watch. His life will be spared. His honor will be destroyed, but he will live. Refuse, and he will die, and his daughters will suffer for his stubbornness. For Eddard Stark, a man who has lived his entire life by honor, this is an impossible choice. But he thinks of Sansa, held hostage, forced to watch. He thinks of Arya, whose fate he doesn't know. He thinks of his sons in Winterfell. He thinks of Jon at the wall. He chooses his children over his honor. He confesses to treason he did not commit. He declares Joffrey the rightful king. He plays the part he is given, accepting disgrace to save his daughters. The crowd murmurs. Sansa sobs with relief. Surely now her father will be spared, surely now everything will be all right. But Joffrey Baratheon, the boy king, is cruel and stupid and does not listen to his advisors. His mother Cersei, Ned's captor, wants Ned sent to the wall as promised. Sansa has begged for mercy. Everyone expects mercy. Instead, Joffrey commands, "Bring me his head." The crowd gasps. Cersei looks shocked. Sansa screams. But Sir Ilan Payne, the king's justice, draws ice, Ned's own great sword, and raises it high. Arya is in the crowd, trying to reach her father. A man grabs her, holds her back, covers her eyes. She doesn't see the blade fall, but she hears it. She hears the crowd's roar, her sisters scream, and she knows. Eddard Stark, Lord of Winterfell, Warden of the North, Hand of the King, a man of perfect honor in a world that had no place for such men, is dead. The realm erupts in war. Robb Stark, hearing of his father's execution, vows vengeance. His bannermen proclaim him king in the North, reviving an ancient title. The North will no longer kneel to the Iron Throne. Robert's brothers also claim the throne. Stannis Baratheon declares himself the rightful king, being Robert's eldest surviving brother. Renly Baratheon, younger and more charming, also declares himself king, backed by the might of Highgarden. Suddenly there are 5 kings in Westeros: Joffrey in King's Landing, Robb Stark in the north, Stannis and Renly Baratheon in the south, and across the narrow sea, Viserys is dead but his sister Dany lives, and she too has a claim to the throne. The War of the 5 Kings has begun. Let this tragic moment settle over you like a shroud. Ned's death, so sudden, so unjust, changes everything. The honorable man is gone. His children are scattered. The realm bleeds. But life continues. Stories continue. And we are only at the end of the beginning. Dany's transformation. In the Dothraki Sea, far from the wars of Westeros, Dany's story takes a dark turn. Drogo is wounded in a fight with a rival Khalasar. It is a small wound, easily treated, but it becomes infected. Drogo, the mighty Khal, grows weak. The Khalasar begins to fracture. The Dothraki do not follow weak leaders. Dany is desperate to save her husband and her unborn child. She turns to Miri Mazdur, a woman from a conquered village who claims to know healing magic. Miri promises to save Drogo, but her magic requires a sacrifice, Drogo's horse. Dany agrees. The ritual begins, strange and terrible. Dany goes into labor during the magic, and when she wakes, everything has gone wrong. Her son is born dead, twisted and monstrous, covered in scales. Drogo lives, but he is not truly alive. His body breathes, his eyes are open, but there is nothing inside. He is a shell, empty. Miri reveals the truth. This was her revenge. Drogo's Khalasar had destroyed her village. She has taken from Dany everything that mattered: husband, child, future. I saved you, Miri says. Look at what you would have brought into the world. Dany is shattered. Her Khalasar abandons her, following stronger leaders. Only a small group remains: Ser Jorah Mormorn, a knight exiled from Westeros who loves her, her blood riders, sworn to her and Drogo, and a few others too weak or loyal to leave. She has nothing left but 3 dragon eggs, stone-like, beautiful, worthless. Unless Dany remembers who she is. She is Daenerys Stormborn of House Targaryen. She is the blood of the dragon. She has always been told that Targaryens are different, that they have a relationship with fire that others do not. She builds a funeral pyre for Drogo. She places Miri on the pyre as well, payment for her treachery. She places the 3 dragon eggs in the flames. And as the fire burns higher and hotter, she walks into it. Ser Jorah tries to stop her, but she will not be stopped. She stands in the flames as they consume everything around her. Her clothes burn away. Her hair burns. But she does not burn. The fire does not harm her. She stays in the flames all night. When morning comes, when the fire has died to ash and ember, Dany emerges. She is naked, covered in soot, but unharmed. And in her arms, she holds 3 living dragons. They are small, no bigger than cats, but they are dragons. They have scales of black and green and cream. They have wings. They breathe wisps of smoke and flame. They are alive, returned to the world after more than 100 years. Dany names them Drogon, Regal, and Viserion, after Drogo and her dead brothers. They curl around her, making small chirping sounds. The few remaining Dothraki kneel before her. Ser Jorah kneels. She is no longer Khaleesi. She is no longer just another claimant to a distant throne. She is the mother of dragons. And the world has not seen the like in generations. This is where the first book ends, with Dany standing in the ashes, dragons on her shoulders, the prophecies coming true, magic returning to the world. With war consuming Westeros, with winter coming from the north, with the Game of Thrones becoming ever more deadly, dragons have returned. Fire and blood. The words of House Targaryen. They are no longer just words. Winter is coming. Let us rest here for a moment, at the end of this first book, before the story continues into volumes 2 and 3 and beyond. Think of where everyone is now, as winter settles over Westeros. Robb Stark marches to war, proclaimed king in the north, leading men older and more experienced than himself, trying to honor his father's memory. Sansa remains a hostage in King's Landing, trapped in the Red Keep, forced to pretend she loves Joffrey, her father's killer, while inside her heart breaks. Arya travels north in disguise, hidden among Night's Watch recruits, not knowing where she's going or what she'll do, but surviving, always surviving. Bran lies in Winterfell, crippled but waking.